Hello, today you tuned in to a very exciting show. I am excited about the opportunity to sit and talk with someone who is creating great change in the community. She is what's known as a peer advocate. She's working with people who were recently diagnosed as being HIV positive, and she's really helping to impact and change their lives in a great way. Danielle Botello, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I said your name right. I'm glad about that.
Botello.
Botello. I used to say Botello, and it's Botello.
Well, it's okay either way. I mean, if you can't say Botello, then say Botello.
Yeah,
No, but
or you also known as Shorty. Either way, I mean,
yeah,
you're creating.
I was 11 years old when I got that nickname.
Shorty, huh?
So yeah.
Let's talk about let's first of all, let's talk about who you are. As before we get into all the great work that you're doing, let's talk about who is Danielle Botello.
Well, I am currently now 32 years old, but I'm originally from Harlingen, Texas, which is down by South Padre Island. That's where I was born in 1985. The youngest girl, well, the only girl actually, out of four brothers. Both my parents passed when I was young, but I was born with HIV. And so, today I'm a peer advocate for an organization, and I provide support to adolescents who are HIV positive, and I do HIV testing, give results, I do some education, present in front of students or adults or whoever.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. You talked about the fact that you were born HIV positive. So let's talk about your parents and your HIV diagnosis.
Okay, so I wasn't diagnosed until 1991. I was already, by that time I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
So my father found out that he was HIV positive at that time. And so that's when they tested my brothers, my mother and I. And it was just the three of us that were infected with the HIV virus. But at that time, it already had progressed to AIDS. Yeah. So we were all have an AIDS diagnosis. However, my mother did die almost a year later, not even a year later, when I was 7 years old. My father was in prison at that time. So when I moved in with my aunt, my mom's sister, and then my father came out of prison, then he took over myself and some of my brothers. And so I moved in with him when I was 8 years old. 2 years later, he passed. So back then, I mean, there was only one medication, the AZT, and that was not even created for HIV. That was actually created to cure cancer in the 1950s, in which that didn't work. But however, it came about helping some people with HIV, not helping some people with HIV, or even killing some people with HIV. So, but that's how we came about with my diagnosis.
So let's talk about this. I mean, you're 6 years old. At this time, of course, you don't know all the ramification or understanding of what HIV really is. But I mean, now you're 8, 9 years old, and you see your parents passing away as a result of whatever this thing is that you're told that you have as well. What goes through your mind at this point?
Well, as a child, I was very different. I wasn't like very aware and didn't really too much pay attention. I'm just like a kid, like, whatever, Just, so my mother passed. I mean, I knew she had passed and I cried for her. I didn't know why, right? When my father passed, same thing. I cried for him, but, and I didn't know why he died. And I don't know why he looked the way he looked.
Right.
Because he did have the way a person looks when they're passing from complications of AIDS. And that was very scary for me as a young person, seeing him like that. It wasn't until probably my older teen years that I started somewhat getting an understanding. But as that age, it was just like, okay.
Yeah, you were too
I
young
don't know
to
what's
really
going on. There's some kids that really ask questions and they either get more understanding, but not me. I was just, I don't know.
Okay. No. You're very young, very young. So to try to wrap your head around that is something totally different for you. So I wanted to kind of just get an idea of where you were. I want to talk more about this as your teen years, how you did begin a level of understanding and how that impacted you as a teen. We'll talk about that when we come back. More with Danielle Botello when we come back. Stay with us.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish. In your face, in your face.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back. Today we're having a great conversation with Danielle Boteo. Danielle was born HIV positive, and today she's taking that, and now she's actually impacting the community in a great way by working with people who are recently diagnosed as HIV positive as well. Danielle, before we went to break, we talked about the fact that you were at 6 years old at the time that you learned of your HIV positive status. Let's talk about, as you got later in your teen years, did this affect your teen years in any way?
Well, I say, let's put it this way, most of my life under the age of 21, I basically had AIDS. And that's mainly because I was just one of those kids that doesn't want to take their medication. I was taking liquids, and they're just so nasty, and twice a day, you know. And so I had a hard time taking my medication, and because I didn't take my medication, my immune system was so weak, and the HIV was just taking over my body. So I pretty much was in and out the hospital as a kid. And so once I became a teenager, I started, you know, and especially when I went from liquids to pills, it was a little bit easier for me.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to have that teenage life where, you know, you're partying and you're spending the night in people's homes and stuff like that, you know, your friend's house. And so I got to miss medicines as well then. So I did get sick off and on as a teenager as well. As far as this, with others, telling others, I didn't have I never hid it from anybody.
Yeah.
I wasn't very open about it, but it wasn't like something I kept as a secret.
Yeah.
So I did have to deal with just that one or two people who were like, you know, that she got HIV and so forth, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but majority of the people did support me. I had some friends that backed me up.
Good stuff. So let's talk about this, because you mentioned this, and I want to make sure that folks understand the distinction. The distinction between HIV and AIDS. You talked about the fact that most of your teen years, you actually had an AIDS diagnosis.
Yes.
Talk about the distinction between the two.
Well, HIV is just a virus, right?
Yeah.
However, if you go on without treatment, the medication that actually keeps your immune system strong, where it actually keeps each medication does something different.
Right.
So one of the things is it keeps your immune system strong. The other thing is that it stops from the HIV virus multiplying.
Right.
And if without that treatment, it multiplies, it keeps multiplying, right? And your immune system becomes weaker and weaker and weaker,
right.
and to the point where it's like a second stage, basically, AIDS. You know, the second stage of HIV, but that's what they call it, AIDS.
Yeah.
Autoimmune deficiency syndrome.
Right.
So that's the difference.
And one of the ways, I guess, that most folks really easily identify the difference between the two is if your viral load count is below 200 or less.
Actually, it's the CD4 count, which
CD4
is the T
count.
cell.
There we go. Give me that number.
So your immune system, a regular, I'm not going to say regular, but an HIV negative person has over 500 T cells.
There we are. Okay.
Okay. So 200 or under is considered AIDS.
Give me it one more time. Break it out, because you said a couple of things there. It's what, 200 or what?
Under. Anything
What is
under
the CD4
200,
or viral count load?
No, the CD4 count, which
Okay.
is the T cells, which tells a person how strong your immune system is.
Okay.
So anything under 200, it's an AIDS diagnosis.
diagnosis,
With,
okay.
Yes. And so that just says you're very vulnerable to other infections like cancer, pneumonia, tuberculosis. Now, those are the things that actually, will bring a person down. But, when your immune system is low, then that's when opportunistic infections come in.
Okay. All right. See, that's important because I guess we want people to really be able to identify that and understand that because, again, most people think it's one and the same. And it's important that people understand that it's not necessarily one and the same.
Right.
Good stuff. So let's talk about the fact that, you go through your teen years, you're dealing with this illness. Is there ever a point where you become maybe upset or angry with your parents for, I guess, whatever lifestyle they led that lead to you being positive?
Never.
Man.
Never felt that way.
Yeah.
I wish it would have been different.
Yeah.
Not just for me, but because I want my parents.
Right.
I really feel bad what happened to them.
Yeah.
Especially because they were both 37 years old. My mom was 37 and my dad was 37. My mom was just 3 years older.
Yeah.
And so 37 years old, I'm 32, that's not too far from now.
Right.
And that they passed. So they didn't get to see, my dad used to call me princess. He didn't get to see his princess grow up. I mean, on earth,
Yeah.
So I know he's there with me, but however, not here physically.
Yeah, and then they also have a grandson. You produced a great grandson for them, and we want to talk more about your son when we come back.
Okay.
All right, more with Danielle Mateo when we come back. Stay with us.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
What if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Welcome back. Today we're having a great conversation with Danielle Mateo. We've talked to Danielle about her being born HIV positive, and now we're also going to talk about her impact in the community on how she's helping others. Danielle, before we get into what you're doing and impacting the community, right before we went to break, we talked about the fact that your parents didn't have the opportunity to see your son. Let's talk about your son and the fact that while you were born HIV positive, he was not.
Right. So really my son, how I was saying that, I wasn't doing well with my own health.
Yeah.
I did get into some drinking just for fun and drugs just for fun, and I just would miss my medication. When I became pregnant in 2009 with Braylon, he basically changed my life. He's the reason why I said I can't play around with myself anymore.
Yeah.
I just kept messing up in life, and he was it. He was the reason why I just decided to do something with my life for him. I felt like I didn't have no choice. I was forced to live now, to raise him.
Yeah, it wasn't about you anymore.
It was about me no more. No, it's all about him now.
Man. Yeah, and that's key. I mean, I think that's happened for a lot of people. It certainly happened for me. I mean, we had our first kid when we were 16 years old as well. So it was a life-changing moment. It made you realize there's some responsibility. You have another life to look after. So that's important.
Especially because the doctor that I had at that time called me one evening, and I was just like, oh, why is she calling me? Like, it was weird for her to call me at 7-something in the evening on my cell phone, and she was scared. She told me that I had an AIDS diagnosis, and also she told me that at that time it was my last medication that works for me. She was like, okay, we only have one more, and this is it, And so that was before I got pregnant. So,
Okay.
and even after that, like I got scared and I started taking it every single day for maybe about 1 or 2 months.
Yeah.
I go back to my old habits again.
Man.
But then, was it a year and a half after, a year and a half after that is when I got pregnant. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
change.
So was there a fear when you first got pregnant to know that you're HIV positive? Was it the fear that, oh my God, will my child be HIV positive as well?
It wasn't a fear because at the time I was already somewhat knowledgeable. I didn't start learning till later on. When I got older in my early 20s is when I started learning about HIV and everything. So I already knew the chances of my son not being infected with HIV. The thing is that the medication that I'm still on at that I was on then had never been tested on pregnant women. So therefore, I was told it's a 50-50 chance. They don't know what's gonna happen, as in if it's gonna affect my son, my unborn child.
Yeah.
In some kind of way.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say deformity or not a deformity, but something.
Yeah, you didn't know what the side effects may be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But when it comes to the HIV being infection, I wasn't too worried about it.
Okay.
It was
So-
more of is my child gonna be, I don't know if you call it normal or,
Right.
but nothing wrong with them.
Okay. So he's born, healthy baby, no deformities whatsoever,
Right.
and not HIV positive. So what's the thought that goes through your mind when you learn of all of this?
Wow. Wow, just like, now what?
Yeah.
Google.
Now how do you raise a baby? He's healthy, he's not HIV positive, but now how do I feed him?
Yeah, pretty much.
So now he's 8, 9 years old?
Seven.
Seven. I'm trying to give him a few extra years.
Yeah, everybody does. You're not the only one.
Yeah. So 7 years old, you guys have been on this journey of life together. Obviously, you learned how to feed him. You learned how to burp him and all that type of stuff. Change the diaper too, huh?
Yeah.
So what is it like being a mom?
Whew. I would love to experience it again. The whole, being, I'm already a mother, but I'm just saying, having another child and everything, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
When I originally didn't think I would ever have kids, not because I didn't think I could, but it was just not part of my plan.
Yeah.
So when I had my son, I just looked at him like, is another human being, it's like, oh, who's this person?
Yeah.
So I it's like the passion just grew in, and just like, I just, the love grew in. So like, I just started learning to know how to love, and so it's beautiful. I just can't explain it. It's just really beautiful.
Yeah. So you fell in love with life, and now you're helping others to fall in love with life, even with an HIV positive status. I want to talk about that because I think that work that you're doing in the community is so important. I've seen you do it, and to witness you do it and do it with the passion that you do it with, it's an amazing thing. And I want to talk more about how you came into this when we come back. More with Danielle Boteo when we come back. Stay with us.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish. In your face, in your face.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Hi, I'm Dominique Howe with Howe Consulting Group, a Dallas-based boutique consulting firm focused on helping healthcare organizations optimize their revenue cycle operations. I know that we are going through a huge game changer in healthcare, and ICD-10 is on our heels. We're on the countdown. So CFOs, if you are in need of a healthcare consulting firm to help you optimize your revenue cycle, help with your cash acceleration project, or manage the impacts of ICD-10. Please consider Howe Consulting Group. Our contact number is 214-760-1211.
Welcome back. We've been having a great conversation today with Danielle Boteo. Danielle, also known as Shorty, was born HIV positive, and she is now a peer advocate and really working to create change here in the Dallas community. Danielle, before we went to break, we talked about the fact that you have this passion and this zeal and a certain way that you go about serving as a peer advocate for folks who are recently diagnosed as HIV positive. Talk about, first of all, what brought you into this field?
Ooh, well, it wasn't already like a passion, but it grew into me.
Yeah.
So what, I said, I didn't take care of myself. I wasn't knowledgeable. I never even took the time to even see like, what is HIV? And, I just knew I had something, and I'd taken medicine and I didn't like it, and I just wanted to party and do whatever, be myself, whatever. So from that call that I received that, I had AIDS diagnosis again for I don't know how the 10th time, I don't know. Man. So and at the time I was working with animals because my passion is animals. I love rescuing animals.
Okay.
I love helping animals. So and at the time I was working 6 days a week around hundreds of dogs and cats, and so I was told that I need to quit that job. So that's when the opportunity came, and she was like, look, I have this other job for you as a peer advocate. You asked me then what that was. I couldn't tell you what it was. Yeah. However, I took the job, and that's when I started actually learning about something that I've been living with all my entire life. I was being trained properly, and then I started meeting individuals newly diagnosed, and I just, and it's been 9 years now.
Yeah.
And so since then, I've learned so much. And so I was like, okay, whenever I started seeing that I was making a great impact in a positive way to these individuals, especially young individuals, it lifted me up. It helped me as well inside, because when I first started, I wasn't doing well myself. Right. So it was kind of hard that I was preaching about something that I wasn't even practicing myself. So I had to learn everything just like what they're learning. But of course, I didn't put it out there. But once I was off on that path, it's just like it's just stopped. Yeah. Unstoppable.
And now that you've been on this path for 9 years now as a peer advocate, you're going out testing people in their homes, testing them in their cars, back alleys. I jokingly say back alleys and all that type of stuff. But it really means, though, that you will go out and test anyone wherever they need to be tested, because you are so committed to making sure that folks understand that HIV is real and it's serious and it's still impacting our community. But then also to go a step further, when someone is given a positive status, you also then help them to connect them to resources to help them to get on to taking their medication in the ways that they should.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they get diagnosed, I link them into care and help them understand what's going on in their body. Yeah. Understand that if they're somewhat knowledgeable, we're not in the 80s and 90s, because there's a lot of people still thinking that you can get it from casual contact. So, I have to, pretty much teach them and tell them it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. You're not gonna, by kissing somebody, you're not gonna, transmit it or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So just basically ease their mind on that. And really, the most important thing to me is prevention. Yeah. Because we can't get into a AIDS-free world, or in the future, hopefully an HIV-free, because people are getting infected every single day. So yeah, it's important to get tested. However, it's very important to keep yourself from getting HIV. Yeah. So it's that preventive methods.
Yeah, but make sure that whatever risk factors you're involved in, getting rid of those risk factors.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Or limiting, just reducing, basically.
You talked about it, and I want to delve into a little bit more. Our young people. It's said that one of the fastest growing populations of new HIV infections are young people, ages, was it 13 to 24, 25. Why do you feel that is?
Oh, well, they are sexually active at that time, for one. For two, I think, it starts at home. Sometimes there's some kids that are able to talk to their parents, but majority of the kids, from what I've learned, is that they're not comfortable with their parents, so they do things behind their parents' back.
Yeah.
And so not only that, they feel like they're invisible, even though if it's brought into them, like if they're in middle school and they're learning about HIV or STDs, they're just like, okay, it's something else that is out there, and it doesn't pertain to me.
Yeah.
They're just gonna do the work. And so those things, being invisible, right? And pretty much, I think also media, music.
Okay, all of that's playing
a lot
a
of the
factor.
stuff. It's a lot of stuff. The environment that they're in. So
it's definitely affecting them. To, again, I guess, assume that it's not going to happen. That's someone else. It's not going to happen to me.
Correct.
Okay. Last question for you. Do you feel that there is enough being done for HIV positive people? And if not, what's likely missing?
A lot more. As me being a peer advocate and helping, there's only 3 of us that we know of, right? So I think that if we had more peer advocates, or more individuals who are HIV positive, or either whether they're infected or affected, and meet these individuals, right? Going to their appointments wherever they go, whether it's case management or doctor's appointment, or even going to get the bus passes. It doesn't matter what kind of appointment they have. We need more people that are able to be able to do those things, be qualified to be able to, empower and encourage other individuals who are HIV positive. There's definitely could be more done about it.
Yeah. So to come on and be that part of that support system, if you will, to rally behind those people who don't have a support system in their family or their home, but then they have that community support system through peer advocates like yourself.
Right.
All right. You know what? It's just been a tremendous pleasure just to talk with you. And I'll say this, even on camera, I know for you it was a little uncomfortable to come and be on camera. And while you share your story all the time, it was a little different coming on camera to do it. And I think you did a tremendous job. And I appreciate you so much for doing it.
Thank you.
And I really hope that you've learned a lot from Danielle's story. And one of the things we really want to do with this segment is to really dispel all the myths that are associated with HIV and HIV positive people. And I really hope today that you learned something and you can embrace this, and you can embrace someone that you may learn of as HIV positive and love on them and be that support system that you talked about. Until next time, take care of yourself.